5, 4, 3,
Oh, okay.
2, 1. You're on. Oh, that's awesome. Good morning. Welcome once again to the floor of the SC21 exhibits. This will be the final version of Coffee with the Chair that I host. I'm hopeful that it'll happen again next year. There is still plenty of great content coming your way, including the award ceremony at 12:30 p.m. Central today. And that is, of course, where we recognize the outstanding accomplishments and achievements of so many of you in the technical areas. I hope you have the opportunity to join us there. And if you're not one of the award winners, don't worry. We value your content highly as well. In fact, it's been a key aspect of what I consider to be the huge success we've had here in St. Louis and for SC21 in general. And so I want to thank all of you for your participation, whether you've been here in person or attending remotely. I also really want to thank all of the people who have worked so hard to make this conference a success. So I hope if you see any of those who have been involved in putting this on, you let them know that you appreciated the efforts that they have put out. Nonetheless, well, not nonetheless, but in any event, let me get on to the more interesting content of today, which is that today I have Rommie Amaro, a professor of chemistry and biochemistry at the University of California, San Diego, joining me. Welcome.
Good morning. Good morning, Bronis.
So Rommie is actually joining us from San Diego today, so while it's morning here, it's not that early to me. I get up pretty early, so I've been up for several hours. It's significantly...
It's still pretty early. It's still pretty early, even in
yeah,
in
but
St.
you got
Louis,
2 hours behind on me, so...
It's true. I might go back to sleep after this.
Well, anyway, so I think many of our attendees will already know of your work, but I'm sure that they would like to, even those who do, would like to learn more details. So I'd like you to, kind of give us a more depth, more of an idea of what your current role is with UCSD.
Sure. Yeah, sure, thanks. So I am a professor of chemistry and biochemistry, as you mentioned, and I guess I think of myself as a computational and theoretical biophysical chemist, which, everything we do is computational and theoretical, so it's obviously perfect for SC. And so what we're generally doing most of the time are running these things called molecular dynamics simulations, which basically what we do is we can now create these highly detailed, three-dimensional physical models of biological systems where we're integrating different types of data sets coming from structural biology and genomics or glycomics and cryo-EM, and then build, so we take all these different data streams and we can build these highly accurate three-dimensional models of systems, and then we approximate those systems down to their many atoms. So, and then we treat those atoms as hard spheres, and then define a potential function that describes all the interactions between the atoms in the system. And then basically all we're doing is integrating Newton's equation of motion over time on these amazing supercomputers.
That's all.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually not that. It's not technically that. I mean, their models are amazingly simple, but they're just they're really remarkably predictive and in very good alignment with experiment. So they've become quite useful, it turns out. And we've been working a lot with COVID-19. Basically, since February of 2020, we've been basically all hands on deck trying to understand the virus and its molecular piece parts and how they work and how it hides itself from the human immune system and so forth. And so this year maybe we have more questions about that, but this year we tried to take it to a new level in terms of what we could model. And I think that's been always one of the great joys of, for me, like one of the things I enjoy the most is sort of this push and pull between the technology development in terms of the cyber infrastructure and what we can do scientifically on them, particularly in the space of modeling biological systems. It's just a fantastic place to be.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm a little familiar with your work. I was the chair of the Gordon Bell Prize Committee last year, and of course you led the team that won the 2020 special prize for HPC-based COVID-19 research. And I mean, there was, I mean, frankly, you know, the committee was extremely impressed with that work, but one of the things that just truly amazed, I think, all of us was the number of simulations that was involved and the number of systems that you were running on, and frankly, the large collaboration that you brought together. Can you give us a little more of a feeling of what it was like to have to manage all of those people across so many different institutions?
Yeah, you know, when you say it like that, you make it sound like a lot of work. And it was a lot of work, but
it was probably a lot of fun too. Yeah, I tell people that.
It was so much fun. Yeah, it was so much fun. It was like it was an amazing opportunity to work with so many great people, and the collaboration really just kind of came together organically. And that's been also one of the remarkable things about COVID, has been the way that it has brought scientists together. Yeah, I would say last year it was a large collaboration. There were about 30 people across, I don't know how many institutions. And we actually, you know, we used 4 different supercomputing sites. And I didn't think it could get any bigger, but this year it even did. We now have like a 52 author team and even,
wow.
Even more sites and even more atoms. And so, and it's just, honestly, it's one of the most fun things that I've gotten to do. So I would say the management has been, you know, it hasn't been as bad. And, you know, it's been facilitated so much by platforms like Zoom, you know, where all of a sudden it's so much easier to like just have regular meetings with people, for example, in the UK or anywhere, you know, in the East Coast. I would say it actually went remarkably well.
Yeah, it just adds one more level to the achievement that you're doing all of this when you can't get together in person with people and have that opportunity to say, wait, what? I'm not quite following. I mean, you do on Zoom, but it's not the same, right?
It's not the same, and we all can't wait to get together to, like, you know, have a beer together to celebrate. We haven't even really celebrated from last year,
and
so
you really deserve to, as I said. So tell us more about the finalists that you're involved with this year. 52 collaborators. That sounds.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah, so last year we worked really hard to, like I was saying, to like understand the virus itself and its the molecules that comprise it. And then this year, what we did was to, you know, well, COVID is airborne. You know, right. You're breathing, and just by way of breathing, there you go. You got your mask. That's really good, because even just sitting here talking, but even not talking, just breathing, we're releasing thousands of respiratory aerosol particles every minute. And these particles, the smaller particles, will basically stay suspended in the air for hours and travel long distances. And so, you know, if someone in the room with you is infected with COVID-19, the aerosol particles that they emit will have the SARS-CoV-2 virus. So, so we and others have been trying to study what happens to the virus once it's suspended in the air. You know, because and there's been quite a bit of how do I say this? There really shouldn't be any controversy, but there has been a little bit of controversy in terms of like calling COVID airborne or not. Huh. Yeah, I have a little bit of
I
reluctance.
didn't realize. So in the scientific community, there's controversy about that?
No,
Oh,
not in the science.
In the
not
wider.
Not with the nerds.
Yeah, okay. Let's be clear.
We are all in agreement.
I thought
Yeah,
so.
no.
And I guess I'm a nerd too, so it seems obvious to me. But
There you go. Yes, exactly. No, no, I mean like with the World Health Organization, for example, actually being very upfront about it or not, and I think they're finally changing their tune. It wasn't until May of this year of 2021, so well after so many people had been infected, that the CDC acknowledged that it was airborne. So, one of the central problems has been that experimentally, they don't have tools that allow them to actually see inside these aerosol particles because they're so tiny.
okay.
They're, about a mic. They can be under a micron in size. A lot of the ones that are enriched with the virus are smaller, and they're just hard to experimentally understand. And so that's where there's a lot of opportunity for HPC and for the types of computing that we do.
Right, because simulation provides you that experimental platform in its own.
Exactly. I love how you put that it's an experimental platform. That's one of the things that we're really, I think, experiencing now in the field is getting to the point where more and more people are acknowledging simulation as just another type of experiment.
Right.
There was always a division there between wet lab work and computational work. And I think that line is now blurring. And I think it's to our great advantage. And because of, amazing advances in the architectures, as well as improvements to the algorithms and better data
amazing applications like those that you're doing.
Yeah, and they've been predictive, so what we're seeing in our simulations, we then can make new hypotheses about, there's something in that respiratory aerosol that's actually protecting, it appears to be sort of protecting the virus.
Oh, so what's that? Have you gotten?
Yeah, this is sort of really new results, so I probably shouldn't talk about it too much, but there are these things called mucins that are in our respiratory tract. They're basically these molecules. They're these amazing brush-like polymers that line things like mucous membranes and so forth. So, so cells in our body that are at the air-water interface. And one of the things that even like biologists have long wondered is, the atmosphere is very destructive.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was wondering. How long does it stay, and how does it stay alive?
We don't really know. We don't really know. And under what conditions? We know things like, okay, under certain, there's like a range of humidity where the virus is sort of less viable. And then outside of that, it's like, it seems to be more transmissible. So there's humidity effects. There could be photochemistry. So, light can also damage it. There's all sorts of conditions and other things in the air, pollutants and so forth, which can also affect it. So we're just getting now to the point where we can actually really sort of tune the different species that are in the aerosol, and then also sort of hand in hand with experiment, also perform those experiments and see how it's, how it's affecting the viability of the virus. So
the simulations have helped you understand how these mucins work and
how. So one of the things that we think we're seeing, and so these simulations are actually, we need more time. Actually, I should use this to lobby for more compute time. Absolutely. Because these are huge simulations, right? So I mean, relatively huge.
Definitely. Again, it's part of what impressed us last year was, it's a range of simulations too, right? You brought together.
It's not just the big stuff. Yeah. So that's the other really cool thing I think about these the project last year and also this year. So this year, the big simulation is about 1 billion particles. It's got the virus inside the respiratory aerosol, and what we think we're seeing is basically the virus being like wrapped up like in a coating of these molecules called mucins that ordinarily protect the cells at the air-water interface. We think they're basically doing the same thing to protect the virus when it's at the aerosol interface.
Right.
So we're
our own bodies are a critical aspect of how it's moving from one person to another.
Yeah, and something else, like, you have people who are sort of super spreaders. You might have heard about them.
Yeah, I have, but so
we don't really understand like why some people are either there's so many factors. Some people emit more virus particles than others. And so there's something about the production of the aerosol particle that could be different from person to person. And it could be something like the way their vocal cords vibrate and the tone of their voice, which is like acoustically making different size particles, this kind of thing. So there's all these myriad of factors to it.
So the simulations have to get even bigger so you can simulate the biomechanics as well as the computational
they totally
biology.
do, and understand transfer. Yeah. So like why maybe some people, there's something about their mucous membranes that causes the viruses to be enriched versus other people. So there's just so much exciting science.
It is exciting and truly valuable. I mean.
Yeah, it will be. I definitely. I think we're just.
I only get to do a little bit of that kind of stuff, but it makes me happy to see that the things I work on can lead to that kind of contribution to. Helping us. This has been fascinating, but I did want to touch on another couple different topics or related topics. So one thing is, I won the Gordon Bell Prize a couple times. I'm a computer scientist. I'm at a DOE laboratory. In that role, it's like seen as kind of one of the pinnacles of success, frankly, right? But I've had people in academia who are, more on the scientific side ask me, like, should they? It's a tremendous amount of work. Not just all of the coordination you've had to do, but the underlying work. And I'm sure you've experienced, like, getting ready, because there's a deadline, and you got to hit that deadline.
Oh, so it's just like, it's very special.
People don't sleep for, like, a week or more, is kind of been my experience.
More.
And, so it's, it's tremendously draining, and it's not really clear how well academia values that effort. How has your experience been? Has UCSD really understood how
I don't know. That's a very good question. I think they get that it's kind of a big deal because of, like, it gets a lot of press. It tends to get a lot of press. And certainly, so I'm in a chemistry department. They don't have really hardly any idea. They have, like, a whole different set of, like, awards that our faculty get. The computer scientists definitely were like, they called me up. A lot of them sent me emails like, oh, wow, Rommie, this is a big deal. Like, good job. But my own department, I don't know. I'd like to think so. But I think they're more impressed with, like, they're more impressed knowing what science, came out of it and so forth. Which, of course, is our main goal, too, in this case.
So you said they're starting to understand more how computation is just another critical experimental tool. But I imagine that since they have a better understanding of wet lab work, like getting a big award for your wet lab work.
Yes, you're right. It's more, it's easier for them to understand. They're just more used to it. They're more familiar with it.
So what would you say we could do to help?
I don't know. That's a good question. I'm not sure what you could do. I don't know. I know that it has definitely helped that my amazing senior colleagues in computer science, and even our chancellor, for example, Pradeep Khosla, is a computer scientist. So, he knew, and he even said to the chairs, like, oh, yeah, this is a big deal. So that kind of stuff, that helps, when other people who they really,
Yeah, well, so as a community, we have to figure out a way to make sure that it gets better understood. You and the people you're working with are doing tremendous work. And, as I said, it's really making a difference to our understanding of something that, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
Everybody has seen how much we've been impacted by it, and
yeah.
you know.
Yeah, and I do think, you know, this particular, well, last year too, and this year with the respiratory aerosol, it's gotten a lot of attention. I mean, I would say it's already gotten a lot of attention, for example, on Twitter and various places, and people see it, you know, like just people who aren't in computing, you know, people who are in biology and chemistry, and they're seeing our Gordon Bell preprint. You know, we shared it, what we submitted, we put it into the archive. And, you know, it is definitely impressing them. And they can see that this is a step change in what we've been able to accomplish previously. Wow. So all of that will help, you know, all that will help. And it's a good, you know, I know the award ceremony's in a few hours.
And you know,
we're all winners, honestly.
That's
I can't believe
exactly
that you have to choose from
that. So on the computer science side, being involved with a finalist is a huge accomplishment, and you know, like winning it is, you know, just that much more personally rewarding. But the reality is, just being involved with a finalist alone. I do not know who won this year. I'm not on the committee this year. But yeah, I mean, I wanted to talk with you more because I just wanted to, you know, understand and the work you've been
I didn't understand that part until, I don't know, because, you know, even the Gordon Bell for me was a little bit mysterious last year. And now having been through it again, I really feel like just being a finalist, this year I've really internalized like the understanding that it is a huge achievement.
Yes, it is. It really is, because, you know, as I said, I mean, we know how much work it involves for you to get to the point that you're actually able to submit
something.
Submit something that's credible, that, you know, and then of the, you know, significant work that has been submitted, you're selected as one of the very best pieces of work out of that. I mean, it's, you know.
Yeah. And I was listening to all the talks yesterday. Whew, those judges have their work cut out for them. There are really some good submissions this year. I mean, they were good last year too, but it's amazing. It's a great crew to be.
Well, so Mark Parsons is the chair of the committee this year, and he's here, and we had him at the press conference on Monday, and I was speaking with him afterwards, and you know, I had told him, don't tell me, because I don't want to know, because it's like, I don't need to know. I know that the work you've been doing is great, that all of you have been doing is great, but he was saying, yeah, and I can't tell you how hard it was to choose amongst.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, I mean, we have six papers that were selected as finalists for the regular Gordon Bell Prize. So, I mean, there's just
also really
tremendous work in the last year by people in our community. It's great to see. So, kind of on one final related topic.
Okay.
You know, so SC is central to my work, but I'm a computer scientist working on large-scale systems, and so it's the conference every year for me. I'm sure it's not the conference for a computational chemist, but you know, obviously I think it's an important conference for you from that perspective. But I'm wondering, you know, like, what could we do to make SC more relevant to you and people in the computational community?
I see. Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like, well, even for me, I feel like it's sort of, I've always known about SC, you know, because I work closely with folks at the different sites. So from, you know, since forever. So as a grad student, I've known about it. I think being invited, I think it helps to be invited to participate in particular sessions, you know, where domain scientists, you know, can come in and sort of like talk about what they're doing. I think that sort of like, obviously that sort of thing helps, like just making more, how do I say, I guess somehow making it more known in our circles that it is highly relevant. I think though that also, you know, because more and more people are doing using computational methods, like even sort of really normal wet lab folks now, like in structural biology, right. Computing is really becoming sort of more integral. I think that the work of making SC more connecting to the domain scientists should get easier and easier. It's a good question. It is a good question. It's a good question.
Well, we should. I should make sure that somebody asks you to be on the SC application. So we have papers, the technical papers that. And we have different tracks in them. There's an applications track. You should be one of the people on that committee. And
sure, yeah. I think even for my, there's myself and then there's everybody else. Even for me, I think I don't totally fully understand all the inner workings of SC, but happy to learn more. And I see the value in it.
I'll tell some people that they should ask you that. And that will help you then learn more about it, which will help you go and tell others, like,
exactly.
Here's what it is and here's why it is relevant.
Yeah, I do think that these COVID prizes, at least for people who are more like me, like more domain oriented,
right?
Because David Shaw and others, they participate in the ordinary, what I'll call the ordinary Gordon Bells, but they're definitely more CS focused, like you were saying. Having these sort of topical, I think this topical Gordon Bell was really cool. And it did get a lot of attention from folks in computational chemistry and biophysics.
Wow.
So that was
so we got to let Gordon know, because Gordon basically contacted the ACM and the committee last year and said, I want to do this. And so I don't know how
cool.
Maybe we can get him to, say, okay, here's cycle through. These are the application domains that I want to focus on.
I think that would be really cool. That would be really cool. I'd be happy to help try to convince him. And I think people would really get excited about that.
All right.
That would help SC, but it helps
Send me an
much.
email, because I'm like crazy busy, but.
Sure. Okay.
Actually,
we'll follow up with it.
Let's do that. That would be cool.
I agree. Okay.
All right. Well, thanks. This has been a really fun conversation, and I really appreciate you joining us. I see that dawn is coming up over your shoulder.
Maybe I'll stay up. Maybe I'll stay up and just get right to work.
All right. Well, thanks.
Well, take care. Yeah. Thanks. Now you can hear? Okay. No, that was fun. Yeah, thank you. That was good. And you asked a lot of good questions. I don't know.